And I think this is a really important topic to touch on because a lot of people think they have to follow, I need to put out this many posts. I need to use this exact structure. I have to use this framework. It has to be this many slides. And at the end of the day, you just need to create content that you enjoy because you are your ideal client. And if you don't like it, your ideal client probably doesn't like it. Hello and welcome back to another episode on the Beauty Industry Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Kennedy. Now today's episode is a little bit different. It's not your typical topic or an interview. I've actually decided to go completely unscripted, unplanned, and just go through my phone screenshots and share some of the wins that my clients have been having recently and then break down the strategy that we've used or the advice I gave them so that they were able to have that win. And then hopefully you can learn something from it and go apply it to your business so you can start seeing some results as well. However, before I dive into all the juicy tips and tricks, I'm going to give you a personal update because I feel like it's been a little while. So I got a new car. That's actually been a big thing. I never thought that I was going to get a car this year. I thought it was going to be another 2 to 3 years at least before I even thought about it. But basically, I had a 2010 Subaru Forester and I got that towards the end of 2019, start of 2020. So I'd been driving it between Perth and Albany. It had been clocking up the Ks, and with everything going on last year between building the bowling alley, running Beauty Industry Leaders, traveling, I didn't take my car to get serviced, and it was about, I think, maybe 15 to 20,000 Ks over. Anyways, took it to go get serviced, and the service was about $1,000, which was more than usual because the brake pads were gone. There was wire poking through the tires and I had to get them replaced. It was not great. Anyways, the mechanic told me that, you're probably going to need to get the engine taken out and have this head gasket fixed because there's a crack in it. And so Nick asked how much it would be to get a quote and all of that stuff. And he said about $3,000 in 3 days. And I just went, I don't want to put $3,000 towards a car that's, getting close to the 200,000 K mark. It's, 15 years old. So I made the decision to start looking for a new car, which was incredibly overwhelming because I'm not really a car person. And I think I kind of fell into that trap of, should I get, a European car, or should I just go with what's familiar and get another Subaru? And my dad and his friends who are mechanics, they did some research. So did Nick, so did Jade at Lavy Lash. Shout out to everyone who got on board and helped me. And we ended up pretty much nailing it down to a Mazda CX-5, reliable, easy to get parts, and just a good car all round, which is what I was looking for. I'm not looking for a money pit. I'm not looking to flash luxury and have my bank account drained. So I needed something that could get me from Perth to Albany and back, all well and good. So we're looking online. There was this perfect car of the Mazda CX-5. It was an Alkira, so it's turbo. Got a bit more power, got a bit more oomph to get around the trucks. That's the most important thing for me when it's coming to buying a car. Can I overtake trucks on the way down to Albany? Clearly know where my priorities are at. Anyways, this car, I think it was around 32 grand, and then it said needed a quick sale. I'm going for a holiday internationally, and that ad had been up for a month, tried to call it, number didn't ring through. So obviously that was like a lost lead. And then I'm looking online, I'm looking at the Mazda dealerships, and to get the year and model we were looking for, it was going to be like 30 to 35 grand, and I had a budget of 20. And I was like, seriously, I don't want to get a loan out. I really don't. And for me, I know most people my age will go and get loans out. They get themselves into a big amount of debt, and then they're just always spending their 20s, 30s, 40s trying to recoup debt from getting loans out for cars, getting loans out for weddings, getting loans out for houses. And so 20K was my limit. And the car I wanted, it was 30 to 35K. So what did we do? We looked around. My dad ended up finding some other cars, and then he found this dark blue one, which was advertised as 26,000. He drove all the way up from Albany to Perth with my brother, and we went to this dealership that it was getting sold at. And they actually had it for $23,000. And we're like, why is it so cheap? So turns out the car was actually written off or had been in an accident, and then the dealership had bought it and then had to do a replacement of essentially all the front bumper and everything, airbags. So the car was like practically brand new, but it was a 2019 model. Had leather interior, had a sunroof, and I was also stressing because I was going to Albany for 11 days, and I was like, I just don't have the energy to try sell my Forester. Like, it's got a problem with it. I don't have it in me to lie to people about this car being worth more than it is, knowing it has a problem. Like, I have integrity, and I just felt like, there were so many things wrong with me trying to sell it privately. I just couldn't be bothered, to be honest. So anyways, went to the dealership, asked if we could trade it in, and then he asked, how much do you want for it? I was like, well, RAC has valued it at 6.5. So I was thinking of trying to sell it privately for 5. In my head, I was thinking I was only going to get 2. So you know what it's like with dealerships. You always go higher and then you end up getting budged down anyways. Their mechanic took a look at it and he said, yep, we can trade it in and we'll value it at $3,000. And I was like, sweet. Because in my head, I thought I was only going to get 2. And then it ended up being 20,000 cash, which is exactly what I had. Cold, hard, $50, $100 notes, handed it in, got my new car, and I was like, this is epic. So to have a new car now, it wasn't something that I thought I would have because, I just thought I was going to get longer. However, going and taking my car to the mechanic and then finding out that my tires were literally bowled and I could have probably died on the drive down, I was like, you know what? It's probably worth it. And I really appreciate having a nice car now. Before I didn't really before I got my car, it had been dinged up a bit. My ex reversed into a pole and smashed up the back of it. Some guy reversed and front-ended my car, and then there was honestly a few things that happened, and I was just like, it's okay if this car gets dinged up. I'm not going to get upset over it. However, now that I have a nice car, I'm like, I need to wash it and I need to make sure I look after it and I need to make sure I always get it serviced on time. So, that's been an experience. Also, side note, I went to the Department of Transport to go and get my car transferred into my name. And I was shook. It cost me $652 in tax, their stamp duty or whatever it is, transfer fees. It's like $20 transfer fee, and then the rest was stamp duty. The government, literally, Australia, tax, pissed me off. I was so mad. I was like, I've just spent all this money on a car and now you want me to spend even more. For what? But anyways, that's just one rant. I also went down to bowling. We have been doing incredibly well. Slowly, we're finding what works really well with our team, and then we think we're missing one key player, which would be a part-timer for front of house. So got to look at hiring someone for that, which will definitely help not only myself, my mum, my dad, but also our manager, Ash, so that we can still focus on growing the business and working on the business, whereas that person can run the business while we've got to do things throughout the day to actually work on the business. Because right now, we're a little bit understaffed, and just going down there and working a few days to see how everything runs, it gives me a better understanding of when I'm working remotely, what are the gaps? Where do we need support? How do we need to set things up? Also got a new accountant who is absolutely incredible. He was referred to me through one of my coaches who's been through a lot of accountants, and he is so thorough. This man is the best accountant I could have ever asked for. He does tax planning in April. They sit down and work with financial advisors. We are understanding how to leverage the trust more. Just having someone who's really passionate about what they do and is willing to go the extra mile and wants to educate you so that you can understand what it is they're talking about, what it is they're doing. It makes such a difference. So very, very glad that I took that chance and have now invested in that accountant. What else has been going on? Oh yeah, we hit $430,000 in revenue in 11 weeks, which is insane. I have been finding that this business, even in our historically quietest month of the year, if you look back on all the years of operation, February is usually the worst month of the year. We've actually been able to maintain our income because we've introduced alcohol. And so, side note, this is super random, but I feel like in my spare time, I've actually been coming up with cocktail ideas, and we created this Sweet Caroline cocktail, which tastes amazing, and it's been selling out all on the weekends. Even though I don't drink much alcohol because I do prioritize my health and wellness, don't mind a cheeky cocktail here and there. It's just been really cool. It's just a different experience what I get up to in my spare time as a 22-year-old. However, moving forward into coaching, consulting, I have been working really closely with some epic one-on-one clients, and I've been booked out for all of Jan and Feb, almost booked out for March ahead of time because I've just taken on 2 new clients today for the industry leader package, which is really empowering them to step into that role of being an educator, a trainer, a coach, or consultant. Understanding how to set up those funnels, the back end, how to put your sales deck together, how to have that offer creation and onboarding. It's been so cool to work with high level people like that because it inspires me. And there's people out there with more knowledge than me in different areas, but being able to help bring value to their business so that they can help more people in the industry, that is what brings me true fulfillment. Anyway, so let's wrap up on the personal update because, I can yap forever. Sorry, not sorry. And let's get into some of the wins that I have received. So this was a text message I got from one of my beautiful clients, Mel. She said, "Hey, Lovey, here are some of my wins and what I've been feeling lately. I've really been enjoying working with you. It has been such a valuable experience and I'm actually learning so much. As for my wins, I don't feel like there's any huge or new ones. However, in business, just learning about the whole hiring a team member process is exciting me." So she's about to hire her first team member. More on that in a bit. Mindset, I'm proud of how my perspective is shifting from seeing my business as a hobby to now recognizing it as the business it really is. Financially, having a clearer understanding of the numbers that are required to keep my business a business. So thank you for all of your guidance. So with this client in particular, she has a goal of taking on her very first team member, which is quite a scary, uncomfortable process, especially if you've never had anything like that before. How do I find the right person and how am I meant to hire them and what does it look like if I interview them? And, you being more nervous than the actual person you're interviewing, it's a lot all at once. And so what we've done is we've worked closely together through the hiring strategy. We've mapped out each step. We have prepared all her interview questions. She's got phone screening scripts. She's got onboarding information that she can then take and send to them. And she understands like the fair work information statements, how to project how much that employee is going to cost her and factoring that into her break-even costs and operating hours. And there's been so many steps that we've put in place before she's actually gone and even hired someone so that she knows she's already organized the next few steps of where she's currently at in that hiring process instead of just stressing out and trying to do it on the fly and then compromising on things, missing past important things that she shouldn't be missing out on. And so that's been really cool. In terms of mindset, I remember she used to be that one person who would always on my polls click, "No, I'm not interested. No, I don't need this." And to have conversations with her now about what her priorities are, how she feels towards her business, that mindset shift of going from I'm just running this like a hobby or a side hustle, like I call it a business, but I'm not doing any of the numbers. I'm not doing any of the marketing. I'm just kind of showing up and seeing clients and hoping for the best. When she made that switch from the side hustle or the hobby to the business owner, everything started to change. She was going into zero, looking at her numbers. She's having those uncomfortable conversations. She's planning for things. And you can see how much of a difference it's starting to make, because when she's coming onto these calls, she's super motivated and she's willing to learn things. She doesn't have this barrier of resistance up when it comes to taking on other people's information and then going and applying it to her business. So it's cool to be able to guide someone from feeling like they're stuck, they're not getting anywhere, to now being so excited and starting to see growth and results because they changed the way they felt, which allowed them to change their habits and their actions. And now it's driving them towards success. Now, financially, we went through things like the profitable pricing calculator. We went through income and service projections. We went through KPIs and having a method to track how many clients she's seeing, how many new clients, how many clients returned. Then also the different streams of revenue, which I think is one of the coolest things I've created. I feel like now I can say I've created a fair few cool resources, but this KPI tracker is epic. It breaks down your different streams of revenue. So you've got service, you got product, you got gift vouchers, you got memberships, and then it also compares what revenue you make that week against your target to show, did you make more or did you make less than your target? And then you track your expenses. So how much money did you spend in total that week? And then it will tell you how much you need to set aside for tax and GST. So this system is something that I've been installing into all of my one-on-one clients' lives, and it's been changing them for the better. Every single week, they have a money date, they sit down, they plug in their numbers, and they feel empowered because they're constantly across how the business is operating. And so if you can see, cool, we've had 3 weeks in a row where we're hitting over target, we can then use that profit to invest somewhere else. Or it might be, we're a little bit under, the bookings are a bit quieter. So now we can plan a month ahead, put in what we've already got booked in. So let's say it's mid-Feb. So I'm going to look for March onwards. I'm going to look at my booking system, put how many of each service I've got booked in that income projection calculator, compare it against my target to make my desired revenue. And it will show you how many more appointments of these services do you need to book to then hit your target. And so that is allowing them to proactively go into their marketing and go 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks beforehand. They can start marketing these services better so that they can get those bookings in, and they're not freaking out when it comes to the week of their booking system's empty and they're like, where is my money coming from? All right, this is another text message I received from a client, Jade. She said, "Hey, Sammy, I just wanted to send a massive thank you for another incredible week and sharing some exciting wins. Only 3 days in and my sales are already up 162%, just 2K away from hitting my weekly target. The Marketing Made Easy Masterclass on Monday was a game changer. My story and ad messaging have leveled up and I can already see the impact. Can't wait to check it on Monday with the final results." And she also gave me a little shout out for my new car. Bless. So what worked well in the Marketing Made Easy Masterclass? This was an exclusive masterclass I hosted inside the beauty industry leaders community, which actually taught beauty business owners how to nail their marketing messaging. So the first part of it is using ChatGPT prompts to deep dive into who your ideal client is. So I have my own prompt that I give everyone and they copy and paste it in, and it acts like an expert in market research. It goes through and lists out every single piece of information about your ideal client, from their age, location, occupation, the income that they make, through to what their values are, what their buying habits are, what their objections are. And then I've got a second part which is a list of questions. It's like 46 questions. You copy and paste that into ChatGPT and say, answer these questions for me. And it gets hyper specific, like what keeps them up at night? What religion are they? What's their thought process behind this thing? And what you actually do is you prime ChatGPT to really understand who it is you're talking to. And then we move into looking at each one of your hero services. So when I speak to clients, I tell them, you only want to be known for like 1 to 2 things max, 3. You don't want to be doing 10 things all at once because everyone's going to question like, what is it that you're actually good at? So if they're offering so many different services, I say, okay, look at your booking system, go into your reports and show me which are the most popular 3. And then for each of those services, I get them to actually list out one service and then write down all the problems that the ideal client would be facing before they actually have that service. And then in the other part of the table, I get them to list out all the promises or solutions that you give them. And what this does is this takes people from just selling the service, trying to run more discounts and promos in hopes to get clients in, to actually serve the ideal client and speak to their challenges, fears, and frustrations, and then give them a solution which leads to their hopes, dreams, and desires. So often in marketing, in the beauty industry, everyone thinks it's about pretty photos and more before and afters and, dancing reels. It's actually not. And sure, that works to have more brand awareness and exposure, but you've got to ask yourself, is that type of content actually converting into bookings? And most of the time it's not. I actually have a client who goes viral very often, and one of the first questions I asked her was, how do you find going viral? Is it getting you the results that you want? She's like, most of the people that are following me, they're in America. So even though I've gone viral, I've got these followers, they're not ever going to actually be customers in my business. Different story if you're running an online course or training that you can sell, but going viral, getting all those views, yes, it's good for brand awareness, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going out towards your ideal client. So we've kind of got to change our mindset around what we focus on, and that's going to be focusing on the messaging. So then once they've got each service listed out with the problems and promises, I then have my story selling framework. So how I story tell without just doing hard sells. So one strategy that's working well for not only Jade, but also other clients like Shioni, Eliza, and Annaline. Annaline is a perfect example. She didn't have any clients booking in from this one service that she'd been promoting. I think it was called the Madeiro facial from memory. She'd been promoting it for 12 months. No one was booking in for it. And once she did the masterclass, she ended up getting 5 bookings from it. And it's just crazy that, you could sit there and go, I'm a failure. Like, it's not working. Instagram doesn't work. The algorithm hates me. And I'm always doing these before and afters. It's just still not selling. And that's what a lot of people experience. But the thing that actually changed everything was knowing how to correctly market through the content messaging. And so this is what I teach. I teach how to structure your stories and giving you hooks, giving you those lead-in sentences, understanding what sequence it needs to go in to be able to get clients or bookings from your stories. Everyone thinks it happens from the post. If I just post more content, if I just do more reels, if I just do more carousels, like, yes, it's all valuable, but that content is actually there to nurture your audience, not generate leads. So if you think posting more is the answer or the key to success, you need to be intentional. You need to have strategy. And more importantly, know that despite the content going out there, you need to also focus on being on your stories. All right. So you may have heard me talk about Tash, who is one of my long-term clients. She's been with me since I pretty much started, to be honest. And she was in April last year doing 6K months, hit a glass ceiling, could not make it past 6K. And For her, it was a mindset thing, 100%. And I've spoken about that. She wasn't ready to take action because she just didn't believe it would work for her. And when she started realizing that she's just got to put in the work, it doesn't matter if it works or not, she's actually just got to do it and find out, that's when everything changed for her. So I've shared on my stories a couple of times about how her revenue's grown just recently. So this is almost 12 months on. Well, what's April? So 10 months on from when we first started doing the lead gen strategy that I shared with her. She just recently hit $18,783 in sales for the month. Now, I think when I last spoken about it on the podcast, she'd just hit 11K, and then after she'd hit 15K. But to go from 6K to 18K, that's like tripling her revenue in less than 12 months. And if you actually look here, you can see her, I just forget, sometimes this is a podcast, not a video. But in the screenshot she sent me from her Timely, she has retained 93% of her clients, which is incredible. So what does Tash do to grow her revenue and retain clients? The biggest thing I have to commend Tash on, and I can actually say this now because I did go to her to get a lash lift, is that she has worked so damn hard on her messaging process. Before, it wasn't her strong point. She was very blunt, very to the point. She would be the person who sends her prices, gets left on scene. She didn't quite know how to communicate with people to be able to actually convert them into clients. And when she did Fully Booked Formula, she took the DM scripts and she was able to start implementing them into her business. So what's she doing with the DM scripts? Well, let's break it down. For any new person that follows her, she will always send a welcome message. She'll introduce herself and she'll always ask an open-ended question on the end of that welcome message so it sparks a conversation. I think people have kind of caught on to sending welcome messages, but they don't ask open-ended questions. They just kind of say, hey, I'm Sammy, book in for a service. If you ever need me, I'm here. And it's just not a great conversation starter. By asking a question like, what are your brow goals, or what inspired you to follow me, or something like that, it's actually opening up a conversation to talk with someone, get to understand, why are they following you? What captured their attention? What are their problems right now? Well, what are they looking for help with? And then being able to support them that way. So she does that really well. I think another thing I have to commend her on is her follow-up process. Now, I've said it once, I'll say it again and again. The power is in the follow-up. If you're not following up with clients, the longer you leave that period of time, the more likely you are to lose the sale, lose the retention, lose the rebooking. Like, it's just a fact. The more time that's left between the initial touch point and then the second point of contact, the less likely they are to stay with you long term. So the analogy I like to give is, think of it like a date. You go on a really great date with someone and you've had an amazing time, and then you never hear back from them again. You're waiting for them to message you first saying, hey, I really enjoyed our time together. When would you like to go again? And then you're both waiting on each other and no one sends a text message, and then that's done. And then it's like too much time passes by that it's awkward, and then you don't want to reach out because you might get rejected. So you've got to think about it like, this person had a great time. They need to be prompted for feedback. They need to be prompted if there's something that you can improve on. They need to be prompted if they'll be coming back. And, if someone doesn't have you follow up, they might think, you know what, she didn't like me. Maybe I won't come back as a client. Like, you just never know what's going on. So the key here is, any new client you have, or any client you have with a new service for the first time, always follow up within the first 24 to 72 hours. And this is really crucial for you to be able to get that feedback from them in case they're not happy with results. In case they are happy with results, then that's a screenshot testimonial for you. It gives them the opportunity to communicate with you about how they felt about the service, and it can also softly reprompt them to book. So That's one thing. And then the last thing is asking for Google reviews if they've had a great experience. Now, a lot of people struggle to ask for reviews, and I know firsthand I used to suck at it. I do it now on calls, in salon, with the person in front of me, and I just say, hey, I know this is really random, but if you found value in today's session, if you found value in listening to today's podcast episode, would you please be able to just take 30 seconds out of your day and leave a 5-star review? Because honestly, it means the world to me and it keeps me going, because sometimes I don't even know if anyone likes these episodes. Sometimes I put humor on it, and for me that just works, because sometimes I feel a bit awkward asking. But the other person, 99% of the time, they're like, yeah, absolutely. And then the other 1% is, yep, I'll do it tomorrow. So I've never had someone say no to me. And you kind of learn to read the room, like, okay, is this person going to be a good person for a review or not? However, having that follow-up process where you're asking them, did they have a good experience? Are they happy with the result? Is there anything they'd like to have improved next time? And then they've said, no, you were perfect. I loved it. Or maybe we do this. Cool. If they say, maybe we change this in the future, don't ask for the review first. Fix the thing, get it right, and then ask for the review. But if they're super stoked, they're happy with it, then what you want to do is ask them to leave you a review if they've found value or enjoyed the service. Now, Tash followed this approach. She's gone from having, 40 reviews to now like 140 reviews on Google, which is absolutely incredible. So feel free to use that strategy, because you need your Google reviews. It's really important for you to be collecting Google reviews. It's going to help with your website. It's going to help with your Google My Business profile and potentially better SEO ranking. So if you're not getting reviews on Google, I highly, highly recommend that you start pushing that. Also, I have another client, Eliza, who is so beautiful. She's literally sunshine in human form, I say. She was struggling when it came to social media marketing. It felt very inauthentic and incongruent for her to do what everyone else was doing. And she said, I just find it exhausting. One of the goals that I wanted to, I don't know if I'd call it a goal, but one of the mindset shifts that I wanted to give her was that content can be fun and exciting and fulfilling. You just have to find the strategy that works for you. And I think this is a really important topic to touch on, because a lot of people think they have to follow, I need to put out this many posts. I need to use this exact structure. I have to use this framework. It has to be this many slides. And at the end of the day, you just need to create content that you enjoy, because you are your ideal client. And if you don't like it, your ideal client probably doesn't like it. So she was telling me about how she does house renos and she gets the most engagement with that stuff. And I'm like, well, that's no surprise to me, because it's entertaining. It's interesting. If you've only got photos of makeup all the time, it's pretty boring and it blends in with everyone else. Man, I should put up a green screen of what my Instagram feed looks like. It is just faces over faces over faces. And it's so boring. I can't distinguish any of the accounts. If I were to take the username away, I wouldn't know any difference, because they all look the same. But when you start sharing photos of your face or videos of your team and you capture that vibe, or you show what your hobbies are outside, people go, wow, that person's really cool. I like them. People like them. And you have to showcase who you are in 2025 in your marketing to be able to attract people. If someone's going to sit in your chair, on your bed, is going to book in an appointment, they want to know that they're going to get along with you. They're going to have a great experience, that there's some common interest to talk about. It's not going to be super awkward and quiet the whole time. So one thing that I started getting my clients to do is create an intro highlight story reel. This is something that I created for myself. It is the first pinned post on my Instagram. You're more than welcome to go check it out for more context. And I've had 3 clients do it now, and their engagement has quite literally skyrocketed. And they keep going, oh, I don't understand how or why. And I said, because you actually showed who you are. And when you're true to who you are, you find your people. But when you're trying to be like everyone else, doing the exact same kind of thing, it just doesn't attract people. So one of my clients, Ellie, she actually did this, and on her post, she got 27 shares, 18 comments, 58 likes. Now, she's got 276 followers on her profile. And if you look at majority of her content, it's got 9 likes, 3 likes here, 2 likes there, 12 likes. But as soon as she started using video and storytelling and showcasing behind the scenes, she did a similar video for one of her clients, got 18 sends, 142 likes, 9 comments. Not that we should be, always basing success off vanity metrics. However, if we were to compare the success of that piece of content compared to her normal content, it literally skyrocketed. So stop trying to post before and afters all the time. They served a purpose back in the day to show that you're competent at what you do. And it's still good to have them here and there, but that shouldn't be your whole content strategy, because people need to understand who you are, what you stand for, why you're different from everyone else. Otherwise, they're going to choose the person who aligns with them the most. And guess how they're going to do that? By watching the content and seeing. Now, I'm guessing to some extent you probably wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you didn't think what I had to say was interesting or valuable. If you didn't like me and you're spending time listening to this, then I feel sorry for you. But you know what I mean? If you love what I'm about, you're going to keep listening. You might work with me later on down the track. So by putting yourself out there, and I can speak to this as well for my podcast, attracting my dream clients. When I was on social media, always posting, I felt like I wasn't necessarily attracting my dream clients. But having the podcast, long form content, people are listening to me speak and understanding my story, my knowledge, my expertise. Now they're coming to me. And so you have to put yourself out there to have that attraction-based marketing. But if you don't put yourself out there, I can't see a photo of you. I can't even see your name anywhere. I don't know who you are. It's kind of like having a faceless account. I don't know if I'm ready to book in with you or invest in you. Now, full circle back to that whole thing starting with Eliza. This was the message I received from her. Hi, Sammy. I just wanted to share a massive win with you. I just had a client come back for a second makeup lesson today, and I only met her a second time. And the first thing that she said when she came in was saying how much she's loved my content recently. She said that it was so nice, and she was asking me about my wedding, and it was really nice. So I just wanted to say a little thank you. Imagine that. You think if I put these things out there, people won't like them, they'll judge me. You think all the negatives, but you never think about the positives, very rarely. And so by putting yourself out there, by doing that, it is working. So, if you're that person who's scared to put yourself out there, you're scared to show up on your stories, you're not sure if people will like it or not, I'm just telling you right now, just do it. The only people that are going to judge you are the people who aren't doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? People are only going to judge you if they're insecure within themselves, or you trigger something in them that I wish I had that confidence that I could say that or do that. And also on a side note, the person that's going to judge you the most is probably yourself. I judge myself so hard when I put things out there, or I re-listen to my podcast back and I'm like, oh, why did I say that? However, sometimes we think that the most embarrassing things, or the things we're shameful about, or, don't want to appreciate or recognize, are also the things that make us us, and also why people will choose us. So it's a discredit to yourself to not embrace and showcase those things. I have another amazing client, Leanna. She is so beautiful. I received a message from her after one of our one-on-ones, and she said, I realized during today's session that I'm in control of the narrative I tell myself around money and how worthy I am of receiving it. Now that you've helped me become aware of it and helped me with taking actionable steps towards overcoming my fears, it will allow me to build the business I've always dreamed about, and that's really exciting. In this client's case, she had a few money mindset blocks around, putting prices up. She just recently bought a derma pen and, charging $350 for skin needling felt so out of her comfort zone at first. However, now she's really confident in that. I think it's $350. Maybe it's $400 or more. I might be thinking of normal skin. I don't know. But basically, it was a price point that was outside of her comfort zone. and she'd invested $5,000 into this new device. But for some reason, there was like this barrier of like, people won't buy it. And, and then we're just diving deeper. Like, do they get the results? Yes. Are they happy? Yes. Are people complaining about the price? No. And so we often get so caught up in our own heads of like, what will other people think? And like, oh, maybe I'll just discount or devalue because, what if they say no? But the mindset shift that we all need to have is being clear and confident in our value, knowing that I bring value to the table, knowing that I am worthy, knowing that I do deserve to be paid for the hard work that I put in, for the knowledge and experience that I've gained over the years, for the service I provide, for the experience I give clients. And, you shouldn't be in a position where you're running your business out of scarcity, offering more discounts and fearing putting your prices up. Your business should come from a place of abundance and serving. Because if you focus on the people, you focus on who you're helping, that's when everything starts to fall in place because they see that you put them first. And for the most part, if people feel really valued, like you care for them, like you put their needs first, you create a safe space for them, it's really rare for us to get that level of connection that we do in beauty services these days because of everyone being glued to their phones and feeling socially isolated. So if you can give that experience to someone, not only just the service and result, 9 times out of 10, they're going to pay the price because they see it as an investment in themselves. Now, this is a little bit different because it's not my usual kind of client. However, I've been working with a PT at the moment and I'm loving it. Funnily enough, personal training and the beauty industry share a lot of very common challenges and nuances. So in terms of a lot of people focusing on being an influencer rather than building a profitable business, in terms of people showcasing unrealistic expectations or that you need to be or have these certain things to look successful versus like actually embracing who you are and nourishing yourself or being able to appreciate and enhance what you already have, not completely change it. Like there's just so many things that overlap, and working with Courtney has been incredible because we've been able to dive deep into where she's losing so much time. Like this woman, she is working 50 to 60 hours a week, doing meal plans, doing training programs, and then she's got to do her marketing, working on the business. And something that's worked really, really well that I'm going to share with you because you can apply it to your business, I use it too, is instead of what everyone else does, before and afters, we do client success stories. So there's a certain framework that I always use for storytelling, and that has really helped me not only deliver engaging stories as a coach, but also share my client stories and just ensure that my content flows and makes sense. So there's this 5S framework, and I want you to write this down in your notes. And anytime you have a client who's come to you and you've worked with them for a while and you've got an incredible result or story you want to share, just point down ideas here for this 5S framework. You can put it through ChatGPT and get it to turn it into a nice flowing story for you. So the first S is start or setting. So basically what you want to do is think about where were they at when they first came to you? What were they experiencing? How were they feeling? So you really want to set the scene or the tone for the story. The next S is struggle. So what we want to cover here is what was the thing that they were struggling with? How was it impacting them? What did their day-to-day life look like? What were the things that they were avoiding doing, or what was causing them the pain? After the struggle, we then move into the switch. So this is the pivotal moment when they've hit rock bottom, they're not sure what to do, they've felt like they've exhausted all of their options, and now they need to ask for help. It might be someone said something to them, they had a breakdown, like it's just that switch point where they went, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Then leading off the switch, we look at, okay, well, what was the solution? So did they come to you? How did you help them? What did you do? And then once you've worked through what the solution was that you created with them or for them, you then move into the significance. So what was the end result? How did that help them? What did that do for them? What does that mean for them now in the future? Now, for each of these 5 S's, you want to ensure that you are touching on a description of what that event was or what that stage was. So using adjectives, using language that's going to paint a visual picture will really help sell the sizzle. But then you don't only want to describe what happens, you want to appeal to emotions. So use emotive language. Speak to how they were feeling, and you will find that the story will be 10 times stronger. So using this 5S framework, my clients have been able to create really powerful carousels where they're walking through how they've helped a client, or they've been able to turn them into reels, or they've been able to put them on their stories. Now, if you start thinking about how do I tell the story or the journey of each of my clients, what that actually does is for anyone who's watching or reading or listening, they're going to see where that person was when they first started. And they're going to relate to that because they're going to read that and go, that's me. And as they see that client go through that journey and have that success on the other end, what that's actually doing is showing the person reading that that's also possible for them. And that's when you'll find they'll start reaching out to you, because you're not just saying, I'm good at what I do, here's a before and after. You're actually showcasing how you help people, what you did to problem solve, and that actually handles objections and reassures them that you know your shit. So those are all my tips and tricks for today on how my clients have been winning lately. Hopefully you learned something new and you can go and apply that into your business. If you need to, go back, take some notes, and send me a message if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to help. At this stage, I am fully booked and at max capacity for one-on-one coaching and consulting clients. However, I will have some spots potentially opening up in April, or when I get back from Vietnam. I'm going away from the 9th of May till the 9th of June. So that period of time I'll be out. So you can either have a session with me beforehand to get started and go action and implement, or you can use it as a nice little tax write-off before the end of year if you sign up in June. So I'm really, really excited and grateful for all the clients that I've been working with this year on a deeper level. Obviously, I have the Beauty Industry Leaders community where amazing humans are going in there and watching self-paced modules around a lot of the stuff that I share here. Like, how do you do profitable pricing? Well, there's a module in there, or how do I set up a marketing strategy to win? Like, there's a module in there. You can watch it on your own pace. There's worksheets, there's DM scripts, there's everything you would need in there, but it's self-paced. So the benefit of working one-on-one is that you get that personalized strategy, you get that accountability, and you have someone who's already done it before you, so that if anything comes up, you've got someone you can rely on to just work through it with you because you're not alone. Anyways, thank you so much for your time, for tuning in to today's episode. And if you found value in it, I would really appreciate if you could please take 30 seconds out of your day and go on to Apple Podcasts, type in Beauty Industry Leaders and leave a 5-star review and let me know what you've been loving the most, so that way I can keep creating epic content for you. Have an amazing week, and I will catch you for the next Beauty Industry Leaders episode. Bye.
Audience exclusive.